families fighting for survival.
For me now, it's very tough.
Jobs are gone.
My husband is working only 3 days.
Hunger is real.
She was crying because she has nothing on her refrigerator.
Affordable apartments impossible to find.
You may find a 3-bedroom apartment, 3 different families.
This is life on the front lines of a community in crisis.
If you're in a house with, 10, 15 people, how safe is it?
The suffering in Chelsea right now is so hard to imagine. Thousands of families unable to afford food or rent, and the average number of COVID-19 cases has doubled there in just the last month.
Boston 25's Melanie Basu is live in Chelsea tonight. Melanie, you have spent a lot of time there talking with families about the challenges they face.
Mark and Vanessa, for months now, I've been here since the start of the pandemic, and Chelsea has been hit particularly hard. And month after month, I've been talking to families, and today I'm taking you into the heart of Chelsea, and some of the stories that I heard brought me to tears.
From Boston over the Tobin Bridge and into the heart of Chelsea, a community filled with hard-working immigrants, mostly from Central and South America.
I need to pay my rent, support my kid, and I had no money.
I met Carlos while he was standing in line at a food pantry. He's an undocumented immigrant who made a tough trip to the U.S. from Mexico.
I was working nights, whole night and whole day, sometimes no sleep, no eat, and sleep in the mountain.
Carlos, like thousands of others in the city, migrated to Chelsea hoping for a better life. Chelsea is a sanctuary city which provides an added layer of protection for immigrants, the majority of which can barely put food on the table without help.
If you come next week, this is gone, and we keep filling in the shelf.
Thousands of people a week line up outside of La Colaborativa, an agency the city of Chelsea works with to help the immigrant population.
Most of the residents in Chelsea I've been speaking to tell me they're working at restaurants, at hotels, any cleaning jobs, anywhere that can make a little bit of money. But even that right now is getting scarce.
We live in a community that rents are very high.
I sat down with Gladys Vega, who runs La Colaborativa, which helps place residents in homes across the city. She says a 1-bedroom apartment will run at least $1,400. Sometimes 10 to 15 people, sometimes total strangers, live together in one apartment. Eventually, they get evicted and are placed in a hotel.
When the money runs out, I have to relocate them. Once again, I'm sending this family to another larger family for them to live in.
Many of them end up on the streets of Chelsea, feeling hopeless.
Some of the homeless will kind of congregate, get together, and put up a quick little campsite just to stay warm.
A sight that Chelsea Police Chief Brian Kai sees far too often.
It's incredibly heartbreaking.
I'd rather see them living in an overcrowding than under the bridge.
And that's where our story takes you to this cell phone video of a now empty apartment in Chelsea, an apartment that is shared with multiple families, all of them strangers, using the same bathroom, sharing the same kitchen, all while potentially spreading the deadly virus. Maria, who only wants to share her first name, lives here. The 36-year-old was in tears as we sat on the steps of her apartment, talking about her near-death experience with COVID-19 as she was hospitalized for 1 month.
Pain, fever, the tire. The breathing.
Maria says she doesn't have a choice but to let strangers live with her and her family because she lost her job at a McDonald's.
Well, their own separate way. They don't interact with us that much.
Oftentimes, her 15-year-old son Brian says he struggles with remote learning because of the overcrowding situation.
We're doing what we can as a small city.
Tom Ambrosino is the Chelsea city manager who says the city is using its own funding and the remaining CARES Act money.
I'm concerned that these economic impacts are going to linger even when the pandemic winds down.
Families are forced to take it day by day. They're relying on each other to survive.
There's hope here in Chelsea.
And you know, Ambrosino goes on to say, bottom line is the city needs federal funding. And you know, so many families here, they're doing what's called couch surfing. They're going from home to home. They need a place to sleep. But in the end, as you heard the families say, they have each other. And there's a day that goes by. So many families say that they don't cry. They cry almost every single day. Just heartbreaking. For now, we are live in Chelsea. I'm Malini Basu, Boston 25 News.
And Malini can understand why the virus may spread there, but just heartbreaking to hear their stories.
It is awful to hear that strangers are having to live together because that's the only thing that they can afford. And we're grateful that Malini brings us these stories so that we all know how we can contribute and we can help that community.
It's important to tell that story. Absolutely.
Thinking about them tonight. We'll be right back.